Hello and welcome to Camera Review. Today we are looking at Fuji's GFX 100. Anybody who knows this camera knows that it's a medium format camera, and the question has always been, do we really need medium format? And more importantly, do we need 100 megapixels? This is a 102 megapixel camera and has incredible amount of detail and incredible quality in terms of image quality. And I want to talk about how this may work very well for someone who's a professional or someone who's trying to attain incredible image quality and have a differentiation between his photographs and everybody else's. So before we embark on understanding what the 100 megapixel is, let's look at his previous generation, GFX 50. GFX 50 is an incredibly well-built camera. It carries the classic lines that the GFX line has incorporated from Fuji's previous generation of red cameras like the XT3, XT10, and you see the in X Pro as well. Those dials and everything else. So what they have done is they built a very robust camera. And the image quality with the color science and know-how they have brought forth has made this camera incredibly useful. And that 50 megapixels is kind of an image quality that would serve very well when you're doing large billboards or marketing campaigns or things that you want to bring attention to. But also there are advantages that come from using a medium format. For one, you have a shallower depth of field. You're going to get a lot more details, and the shallower depth of field means that you're going to have this more three-dimensionality that comes from separation of the in-focus subject and out-of-focus area. In its very form, if you think about medium format, it is going to have a very unique quality that the full frames or the micro four thirds or any other ones that are smaller sensors do not actually bring you. It is that dimension that makes that medium format very special. For all other applications, for example, if you're going to post it on Instagram or other things, the amount of detail does not make all that much of difference when you're doing really, really small prints. But if you're going to do anything on a laptop or a large screen or anything else, you're going to see those details. And the reason you're going to see those details is the more detail you have, the more micro contrast it has, the more elusive quality of seeing some three-dimensionality that comes. It's the gradation of tonalities, it's the colors, it's the way that it translates to a two-dimensional image from what you see in a three dimensions. So what we are seeing with the medium format is the ability to do a lot more in terms of bringing a more rounded image. So it is for that reason a lot of people go to medium format, and professionals particularly like to use medium format. I, for one, have used medium format cameras for over 20 years, and it is, for me, it is the go-to camera if I'm doing anything in studio. Up until now, we had this situation where it was very hard to take a camera outdoors and photograph, especially when the weather conditions were not as good, and they were very, very large bulk cameras. So what has happened with the evolution of these digital technology and the sensor technologies, that they become more and more compact. And what we're seeing with the GFX 50 and the GFX 100 is that they have become even more compact, resembling the size of a full DSLR camera. Yet they are far more than that. They are actually medium format cameras. So what has happened is that we have seen that evolution of medium format cameras that has gone to 50, now going to 100. And there's a very good reason for that. Is because when you look at the new generation of cameras that are coming out, for example, from Sony and Canon, they are always going to be pushing those megapixel boundaries higher and higher. We have 50, we have 61. These are high numbers for a full frame. Yet again, when we look at what is being offered in the medium format, you may not find that it makes sense to go and invest in a medium format camera when you can get 50 or 60 megapixels from, let's say, a Sony. The difference is the amount of detail and the way that the lenses perform, bringing that image quality to a new level. And it is for that reason medium format always will perform better in terms of bringing those details and micro contrast. Yet it becomes more and more evident when we have a camera that has even more megapixels, like a 100 megapixel GFX 100. So it is, for me, the choice between having to have the details and a micro contrast that translates even to a smaller image as well as a larger image. If you're doing any kind of printing, you're going to find that those details are going to give you the colors and intonations that make this beautiful harmony of image speak to the viewer. And that is for that reason that we can go to 100 megapixels. Now, if you want to do a 100 megapixel image, you're gonna be able to do the following. You can take that 100 megapixel image, okay, and bring it down in size to a level where you can put it into, for example, a computer screen, or you can put it onto a large wall. What is important is that the details are there for you to see what it can do. And when you look at the GFX 100, it has stabilization, which no other camera of medium size sensor has had until now. And you're also seeing a generation of new digital technology being incorporated in the GFX 100. You're going to see that the dials have been removed to put a screen in there. It makes it easier to view and makes it easier to navigate through the menu and everything else. It's more streamlined. It makes it more digital looking, yet it brings in more detail, more megapixels that will translate into incredible image quality. And also, when you look at it, it is becoming lighter and lighter. The older generation of cameras were very, very heavy. You can take this GFX 100 onto the streets and you can photograph. You could do street photography, you could do portraits, you could do weddings, you could do all kinds of things, and it does not suffer the problems that has been plaguing the medium format cameras, especially with low light, the noise, and everything else. This is going to give you those details. Also, when you combine it with flash photography, that is when this camera really shines, because you're filling in the shadows, you're filling in the areas where you want to put details and highlights, and that is going to make this camera even shine further. For those who want to use it exclusive for in studio, of course the lights are going to make incredible difference when you're doing photography. But when it comes to getting those shadows and those details out, this is going to make all that difference, because those gradation of tonalities, those three-dimensionality, the micro contrast, that's where this camera really shines. Now, of course, there is competition out there that has come a long way from the other generations. You have the 645s, you have the Leicas and everything else. But now what we're seeing is the GFX 100 is surpassing all of them. Even the Hasselblads, they have had their kind of cameras for along the way. They were very good, well recognized and everything else. But apart from going to, let's say, phase 1, which is an incredibly expensive camera, yet it still produces 100 megapixels. And you're seeing this camera that is going to be producing an image quality that is equal to a phase 1. And if you compare the prices, one is $30,000, one is $10,000, you're going to see that, yes, it does make a huge bit of difference. And this boundary of pushing, getting higher and higher megapixels has served the game well, because now all the other cameras that are in the market in full frame and otherwise, the APS-Cs, they're all going to try to push their megapixels higher. And you're seeing that happen, because it was 24 megapixels, now 30 with the APS-Cs. Now the ones that are full frame at 30 are going to go up to 50, 60 and higher. And this is the way this generation of cameras is going to help new photographers get into the business and make incredible images. Not are we limited by the capabilities of our cameras, but the low noise levels is there. We're seeing the optical viewfinders getting better at providing quality images, from seeing what you are actually capturing. You're also seeing that when you get these images into your computer, that you have a lot more room to play with it. So if you go into your Lightroom or you go into your Photoshop, you are able to get those details and work them. You could do burns and dodging and everything else to even shape the way you want to have that image. But you have to first have the raw data, and that's what the 100 megapixels do. 100 megapixels give you that ability to sculpture that image that you want to create. Of course, when you put this out there, people are going to look at it and go, wow, that's incredible photograph. And people are going to say it is that camera, it's because you use the medium format, or it's because you use a 100 megapixel image. Yet it is also have to do the way that you photograph, your capabilities, your skill set. It is a combination of having all those fine ingredients that you put together to create that incredible image. At the end of the day, it is a good image that counts. And we have created it with a medium format, and that's what the tools it took to make it. Well, it's all better for you. Then you don't have to say to anybody, you know what, I did it because I had a medium format. I did it because I had this tool and I used it. So in the end, people are going to look at the image and going to say, he's got fantastic images. He's got something that is going to shine, and it's going to make everybody else jealous of how good you did it. And I'll tell you this much, if you go from a full frame to a medium format, there is going to be an adjustment period. But once you get into the full frame, you're going to realize that the full frame is the one that is going to bring you that advantage. And once you have used it and you become comfortable with using it, then you'll realize that you have an advantage over other cameras that are in the market. Of course, people are going to criticize and say, you know what, you use this, I use a smaller camera, you don't need this much megapixels and everything. Look, you can shoot with your smartphone, and if that works for you, then it's fine. But I'll tell you, the difference is there. The details are there. And no matter how much someone may try to convince themselves that they don't need the megapixels does make a difference. And also, it makes a difference when you look at it with a careful eye. When you see the details and micro contrast and you point it out to somebody, they're going to say, yes, I see the details. And that's why we have cameras like the GFX 100 that is changing the game. Of course, they're also putting their technology in there, the sensor capabilities, the image quality, the ability to make those colors shine. Those colors are what is making this camera such a success, because they have brought their know-how of image reproduction from the older days to the present. So the color codecs are wonderful when they're creating these beautiful images. And it's for that reason I have, without hesitation, saying that is a wonderful investment that can serve you for 10 years and you can make your money out of it. And if you are just beginning and coming into the medium format market because you've been doing it full frame, you're going to find that you have this whole new venue of opportunities that is going to just open doors for you, because you're going to see how your photography also changes when you go into a medium format. That has been my experience. It's going to be probably different for a lot of people because they will have an adjustment period. But in the end, what you're going to find is that it is something that is going to make an improvement in your photography. So I hope this has been informative in a way, an introduction to what medium format cameras are, and also an understanding of the GFX 100. I didn't go into details about specs and everything else because those are covered in a lot of videos. They can read out spec sheets, but I'm telling you from a point of a professional photography use. We will have, of course, photography shoots using the GFX 100, and we will show you how it makes a difference between the medium format and the GFX 100. So we will see side-by-side comparisons. For now, I leave you with these thoughts. Have you thought about moving up to a medium format? I hope this has been helpful. I'll see you in our next review. Thank you for watching.